If you have students that love reading, then this session is not really necessary for you, but it'll still give you ideas of what you can do with text. But if you have students, like I've often had students that don't want to read, that resist it, like I don't know what even, and say, oh teacher, this is boring, then here are a number of ideas that I've used in the classroom over the years that work. And I've even turned some of these students into avid readers. Okay, let me discuss a few overriding principles first. Reading and speaking should be connected to each other. In other words, when students read something, you ask them to talk about it. Explain what they've read, give a personal opinion of what they've read, etc. There are different ways of doing this. But it means that students really have to read for comprehension. They can't get around it, they can't fake it. So reading comprehension, as it says here, reading comprehension is enhanced by small group discussions. All based on research. Here are the two references if you want to check up on more of the details. The second principle that is so important is to decide what to read, and actually who decides what to read. More and more I've given the choice to my students what they want to read, because they constantly complain about the readings in the textbooks that are boring. So I say, well, what would you like to read about? And I take them to the library and they choose their own. And it makes so much sense, really. I love reading, but don't give me a book on electronics or politics, because I couldn't stand reading stuff like that. So our students are the same. It makes sense that they choose what they want to read about. Secondly, the research has shown that it is important to make reading enjoyable. And to make reading enjoyable, students must understand 95% of the vocabulary. So 5% of the vocabulary in what they read can be unfamiliar to them. But if it is more, it gets frustrating, because they have to look up a lot of words, they've got to guess all the time. It's no fun at all. So keep that in mind and use graded readers. Here's an idea I learned from my colleagues. To start your classes every day with 10 minutes of silent reading. You can use the textbook if you want, or graded readers if you have them available, but as much as you can, you let your students choose what they want to read, and you sit in front of the class. You take a book that you enjoy reading. This is Chicken Soup for the Soul, Teacher's Tales, and you open it up and you sit down and you read for 10 minutes. Okay? Now, nobody is allowed to speak at all. It has to be completely quiet. And in the beginning, you'll find some students are playing games and mucking around, but after a while they get used to it, and it will help them to actually start enjoying reading. So how would you include a speaking component in this part? Well, it could be very simple. At the end of the 10 minutes, you say, tell your neighbor for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, what you've just read about and what you found interesting about it. And that could be all. I often get them to give book reports, oral book reports in front of the class once they finish the book. So we do 1 or 2 every day as they are ready. They take this actually very seriously, and it creates a culture in the class of reading. So other students will say, oh, I like that. I would like to read that book, and you give that to me when you're finished. And so you start to build some kind of excitement about reading and knowledge building, if you want. So that was about silent reading and book reports. And just one other little idea, quick idea that is really effective at times. I often, at the end of my 10 minutes reading, stand in front of the classroom and say, listen to what I've just read. and then I tell them with a lot of excitement something that I've just been reading about, and I find it is contagious. Students want to know more. They ask me the next time, what did you read about, teacher? And they sometimes even want to read the book that I'm reading. So that's very effective. Okay, the next few ideas I want to share with you are really good for boring texts. I know sometimes we need to read boring texts in the classroom out from the textbook, or for IELTS preparation, for example, or other academic reading. But these ideas work. They make the students excited, they get engaged in the reading, and you'll find actually that they understand what they're reading when you do this. Okay, a reading race is a very simple idea. You put your class into pairs. One of the two students in a pair has the text, the other one has the run. The questions, whether they be just open-ended questions, short answer questions, or true false statements or something, you put on a sheet outside your classroom or on the wall somewhere away from the students. So the ones that have to walk, they have to actually get up, go to the questions wherever you hung them, and then remember the question and go back and ask their partner. The partner will then scan the text, find the answer, make a note, and then the other person can go back, get the next question, and come back again. And they have to run backwards and forwards to the questions that you hung on the wall somewhere. It can get very noisy, there's no doubt. And if you don't have the space, then they can do this activity just sitting down together. One student has the text, the other one has the questions, and they ask. So here you have again the students are speaking about the text. You check all the answers at the end and make sure that they don't cheat. I've had quite a few students that walk outside the classroom with their mobile phone, take a picture of the questions and go back in. So you have to monitor that part of it. But it makes it a very active class, and I found that they actually do understand the text a lot better when they do something like this.